My girlfriend's younger sister falsely accused me and ruined my life. Now that the truth has come to light, everyone regrets it, but I no longer forgive them. A few years ago, I was falsely accused just for refusing to cross a line. That wasn't the worst part. My parents didn't believe me. My girlfriend of 5 years blocked me everywhere and sided with her sister without even hearing me out. I lost everything, but 9 months later, the truth came out in a way no one expected. Here's what happened. I, a 24-year-old man, met my ex-girlfriend Katty, also 24, in our sophomore year of high school. We started as lab partners in chemistry and ended up dating 3 months later. By the time we graduated, we were that couple everyone assumed would get married someday. 5 years together, and I never thought about being with anyone else. Our families fit together perfectly. Her father, Esteve, was a mechanic, always rebuilding engines in his garage and teaching me things my own father never could. I remember the first time he showed me how to rebuild a carburetor on his '67 Camaro. It took us a whole Saturday, but by the end, I knew more about cars than I had in the previous 16 years with my own dad. Her mother, Diane, treated me like another son, always making sure I took leftovers home and calling to check on me during exam weeks. My parents were the same with Katty. My mom took her shopping, and my dad helped her pick out her first car, a used Honda Civic with low mileage that he negotiated for $1,500 less. We had Christmas traditions, vacation spots, inside jokes, everything that comes from being together during those formative years. We spent Thanksgiving with my family, Christmas Eve with hers. Every summer, both families would rent cabins on Lake Michigan for a week. By junior year, Katty had her own designated seat at our dinner table, and I had one at hers. We went to the same state university about 2 hours from our hometown. We didn't plan it that way initially. She was considering a coastal university 5 hours south, but when I got a partial scholarship for computer science at state and she was accepted into their education program, ranked 3rd in the country, it just made sense. We didn't live together. She was in the education dorm, I was in the tech dorm, but we saw each other daily. We had the same group of friends, studied at the same coffee shops, and planned our future together. Our lives were completely intertwined. Katty's younger sister, Ami, was always on the periphery of our relationship. 3 years younger than us, she was just starting high school when Katty and I went to college. At first, she was just the annoying little sister, always wanting to tag along. She'd interrupt our movie nights, accidentally walk in when we were kissing, and ask a million questions about college during dinner. Typical little sister stuff. But something changed when she turned 16. It was subtle, but noticeable. The first time I noticed it was at one of Katty's family barbecues the summer after our freshman year of college. Ami would find reasons to brush against me as she passed. She'd ask me for help reaching things on high shelves, even though her dad was taller than me. She wore short shorts and would bend over in front of me to get something from the cooler. I brushed it off. I figured it was just teenage awkwardness. Then things escalated. She started messaging me directly, innocent at first, asking about homework or what Katty might want for her birthday, but it became more personal. How her boyfriend didn't understand her, how boys her age were immature, how she wished she could find someone like me. I showed a few of the messages to Katty, trying to be transparent. She laughed it off. She's always had a little crush on you. It's harmless. It didn't feel harmless when Ami started showing up at parties she was too young for because she knew I'd be there, or when she'd accidentally be seen changing in her house, or wore increasingly revealing clothes around me. I started avoiding their house when I knew Ami would be there alone. I began making excuses to skip family events. Katty noticed, and we fought about it a few times. "You're being weird around my sister," she'd say. "She's just a kid." But Ami wasn't just a kid. It happened in October of our junior year of college. I was doing well, a 3.8 GPA, a part-time job at a tech startup that was grooming me for a full-time position after graduation. The company was paying me $22 an hour to develop UI components, something almost unheard of for an undergrad. My boss had already hinted at a starting salary of $75,000 after graduation, with stock options. I was even saving for an engagement ring, planning to propose to Caddy after we graduated the next year. I had about $4,800 saved in a separate account Caddy didn't know about. Caddy was at a teaching conference in Chicago that weekend. She was studying elementary education, and the conference was a big deal. Only 5 students from state were selected. She had been preparing for weeks, networking with principals and district administrators who could help her land a good position after graduation. We talked about settling in the Riverside district, where starting teacher salaries were $52,000 and housing was still affordable. I wasn't planning on going to her parents' house that weekend, but Esteve called me Friday afternoon, asking for help installing storage shelves in the garage. He said his back was acting up, and he needed an extra pair of hands. He'd bought heavy-duty steel shelving from Harbor Freight, rated for 1,500 pounds per shelf. I always got along with Esteve, so I didn't hesitate. I went over around 6 p.m., and we spent a few hours assembling the shelves. We finished around 9, and he offered me a sandwich and a soda before I left. Diane was at her sister's for the weekend, so it was just us and Ami in the house. I was halfway to my car when Ami ran out the front door. "Wait. My laptop is acting weird, and I have a major paper due Monday. Can you take a quick look?" Steve was there and said, "Yeah, help her out before you go. You understand that computer stuff." So, I followed her back into the house. She led me to the kitchen table where her laptop was. The problem was simple, she just needed to clear her browser cache and reboot. It took about 10 minutes. When I stood up to leave, Ami stood in my way. "Thanks so much," she said, standing too close. "You're always so helpful." I took a step back. "No problem. Tell your dad I said goodnight." She stepped forward again. He went to take a shower. "We're alone down here." She put her hand on my chest and looked up at me with an expression I'm sure she thought was seductive. "Ami, no," I said, removing her hand. "This isn't appropriate." "Why not? I'm 18 now. It's not like it's illegal or anything." "Because I'm with your sister. I love your sister." She moved even closer, cornering me against the counter. "She doesn't have to know. I've seen the way you look at me." "What?" "I don't look at you any way except as my girlfriend's sister. This needs to stop." That's when she tried to kiss me. I turned my head and pushed her by the shoulders to create space between us. "Get away. This is never going to happen." Her face changed instantly. The flirty smile vanished, replaced by something cold and hard. "You think you're too good for me? That I'm just some stupid little girl? This isn't about you, it's about me and Caddy." I grabbed my keys from the table. "I'm leaving. Don't do this again." As I walked out, she yelled after me, "You're an asshole. You'll regret this." I drove home thinking she was just embarrassed and lashing out. I even felt sorry for her in a way. I planned to talk to Caddy when she got back to sort the situation out. I had no idea what was coming. My roommate, Tyler, woke me up the next morning. "Dude, your phone has been blowing up for an hour. Someone's trying to get a hold of you urgently." I grabbed my phone from the charger. 17 missed calls, texts from Caddy, her parents, my parents, mutual friends. My stomach sank as I scrolled through them. "How could you? Call us now. What the hell is wrong with you?" I called Caddy first. She answered on the first ring, her voice thick with tears. "Caddy, what's going on? As if you don't know." "How could you, Marcus? With my sister. In my parents' house." My blood ran cold. "Whatever Ami told you, it's not true. Nothing happened. She showed us everything. The text messages from you, the bruises on her wrists. She told us how you've been hitting on her for months. Last night, you came onto her when Dad was in the shower. That's insane." I fixed her laptop and left. She tried to kiss me, and I turned her down. "That's all. Stop lying. She has proof. The messages, Marcus. The messages you've been sending her for months. What the hell? I never sent her anything inappropriate. Ever. I saw them with my own eyes. Messages asking her to meet up, telling her what you want to do to her. They came from your number. They're fake. She must have faked them somehow. And I suppose she faked the bruises, too. The ones shaped like fingerprints on her wrists. The bruise on her back from where you shoved her against the counter. My mind was racing. Yes, that's exactly what she did. I can't believe I ever trusted you, she said, her voice now ice cold. Don't call me again. Don't text me. Don't try to contact me or anyone in my family. My dad is filing a police report right now. She hung up. I tried calling back immediately, but it went straight to voicemail. I sent a text. Please, let me explain. This is a huge misunderstanding. I would never do this. No response. I threw on clothes and was heading to my car when my phone rang. It was my mom. Marcus, where are you? I'm going to Caddy's to clear this up. No, you're not. You're coming home. Now. Mom, I didn't do anything wrong. Just come home. We'll figure it out. I drove to my parents' house in a daze. When I arrived, they were both waiting for me at the kitchen table with grim faces. What exactly happened last night? My dad asked, no preamble. I told them everything. The shelves, the laptop, Ami's advances, how I rejected her. They listened in silence. My dad sighed. Esteve showed me the texts. Son, they go back months. They're pretty graphic. They're not mine. She must have used some app to fake them. And the bruises? I never touched her. She must have done them herself. My parents exchanged a look I'll never forget. Part concern, part doubt, part disappointment. The police want to talk to you, my dad said finally. I told Esteve we'd bring you down to the station ourselves. The police interrogation lasted 6 hours. Detective Reynolds, a man in his 50s with salt and pepper hair and zero patience, showed me printouts of texts supposedly sent from my number to Ami. Explicitly sexual messages dating back 5 months. Photos I'd never seen, edited to look like Ami and I were together. They're not mine, I kept repeating. I swear I never sent these, never took these pictures. They didn't believe me. Reynolds kept hammering the same points. Why would she make this up? How did these texts come from your number? Why did you go to the house knowing she'd be there? I tried to explain that her dad called me for help, that I'd been avoiding Ami for months because of her inappropriate behavior. Reynolds just took notes and exchanged glances with the female officer in the room. By the end of the day, I was formally charged with sexual assault of a minor. Ami had just turned 18, but some of the fake messages were dated before her birthday. They added charges of electronic solicitation of a minor and sexual harassment. My parents posted the $50,000 bail. The conditions: no contact with Ami or anyone in the Clark family, surrender my passport, wear an ankle monitor, and adhere to a strict curfew. I was allowed to go home with my parents, but the nightmare was just beginning. The state university didn't wait for a conviction. I was suspended pending a disciplinary hearing on October 27th, but it was just a formality. The outcome was predetermined. Dr. Chambers, the head of the disciplinary committee, had already made public statements about protecting students and having zero tolerance. I was expelled the following week, and my scholarships were revoked. The tech startup fired me the same day they learned of the charges. My boss, Mark, who had been mentoring me for over a year, didn't even call personally. HR sent an email terminating my employment, effective immediately. My keycard access was disabled, my company laptop was remotely wiped, and I was instructed to return it in a prepaid box they would mail. My bank froze my accounts pending an investigation, which meant I couldn't access the $4,800 I had saved for Caddy's ring. Friends disappeared overnight. People I'd known since elementary school suddenly didn't remember my name. Social media became a war zone. Half my notifications were death threats. The other half were just people unfriending me. Caddy blocked me everywhere, changed her phone number. Her friends, who were also my friends, posted long messages about supporting victims and cutting out toxic people. Pictures of me were scrubbed from their Instagram accounts as if I'd never existed. My sister, Grace, was the only one in my immediate family who believed me without hesitation. "Ami has always been obsessed with you," she said. "She was always asking me questions about you, trying to get me to show her your yearbook photos." It was weird. My parents tried to be supportive, but I could see the doubt in their eyes. They got me a lawyer, Dave Hoffman. They paid my bail, let me move back home, but they also set rules. I couldn't be out past 8 p.m. I couldn't have friends over. I had to share my location with them at all times. My dad started most conversations with, "If there's anything you're not telling us." My mom cried constantly. They never directly accused me, but they didn't fully believe me either. The financial hit was immediate and devastating. I lost that semester's tuition, $14,300, with no refunds for expelled students. I lost my housing deposit, $1,800. I had to pay for a criminal defense attorney, which wiped out my savings in about 3 days. Dave's retainer was $10,000, and he estimated the total cost could reach $50,000, depending on whether we went to trial. I couldn't get a job. No one wants to hire someone with sexual assault charges. I tried temp agencies, but the ankle monitor made it nearly impossible. My parents covered my legal fees, but they constantly reminded me how much it was costing them. They had planned to use that money to help Grace with college next year. Now they were talking about second mortgages and liquidating retirement funds. The isolation was suffocating. People I'd known my whole life, teachers, neighbors, family friends, looked at me differently, like I was something dangerous, damaged. At best, they avoided me. At worst, they left threatening notes on my parents' porch or yelled things as I walked by. The only people who stood by me, without question, were Tyler, my old roommate, and surprisingly, Caddy's cousin, Megan. Megan called me about 2 weeks after everything exploded. "I don't believe any of this," she said, no preamble. "Ami has always been jealous of Caddy, and she's always had a thing for you. She makes up stories all the time." "What kind of stories?" I asked, desperate for anything that could help my case. Like when she was 15, she told everyone she was dating a college sophomore that turned out to be completely made up. She even showed off texts from him that she clearly wrote herself. And last year, she claimed her math teacher was harassing her, but it turned out he just gave her a bad grade and she wanted to get him fired. Having someone from Caddy's family on my side helped, but it didn't change my situation. The prosecutor was seeking maximum penalties. Dave was already talking about plea deals. "I understand you don't want to consider it," he said during one of our strategy sessions, "but I need you to know what's on the table. As a first-time offender, you're facing 5 to 7 years if convicted on all counts. The deal would knock it down to 3 years with a chance of parole after 18 months. "I'm not pleading guilty to something I didn't do," I told him. "Keep fighting." The months dragged on, and things only got worse. Preliminary hearings in November and December didn't go well. Judge Patterson, a stern woman in her 60s, seemed predisposed to believe Ami. Dave tried to get the text message evidence thrown out, arguing it could have been faked, but without proof of tampering, the judge allowed it. Ami's testimony at the January hearing was devastating. She cried at all the right moments, looked vulnerable and scared. She described months of grooming, how I slowly pushed boundaries, made her feel special, and then threatened her. How I grabbed her wrists hard enough to leave bruises when she finally said no, how I shoved her against the counter when she tried to get away. She was a terrifyingly good liar. Watching her, I almost believed her myself. Tyler testified as a character witness for me, but he wasn't there that night. Megan wanted to testify about Ami's history of lying, but her parents threatened to cut her off financially if she got involved. My sister talked about Ami's strange obsession with me over the years, but the prosecution painted it as a schoolgirl crush that I had exploited. By the 4th month, February, Dave was strongly recommending a plea deal. The text evidence is damning, he said. The physical evidence supports her story. Her testimony is compelling. If we go to trial and lose, you're looking at 5 to 10 years. Take the deal. 3 years. Possible parole after 18 months. I'm not pleading guilty to something I didn't do, I told him. Keep fighting. But even I was losing hope. The trial was set for July, 9 months after the incident. I spent those months living like a prisoner in my parents' house. No job, no school, no friends, no future. Some days, I didn't even get out of bed. The depression hit me hard. I stopped eating regularly, sometimes showering. What for? My life as I knew it was over. Even if, by some miracle, I was acquitted, the damage was done. My reputation was destroyed, my career path derailed, my relationship with Katie, 5 years of my life gone in an instant. The worst part was knowing she was out there, believing I was capable of this. That after 5 years together, she could think I would do something so horrible without even questioning it, without giving me a chance to explain. In March, about 5 months in, I hit rock bottom. I came close to ending it all. I had it all planned out. Tyler showed up unexpectedly that day. He found me sitting on my bed, staring at a bottle of pills. He stayed with me for 3 days straight, barely sleeping, making sure I was okay. We're going to get through this, he kept saying. Something will break. The truth always comes out. I didn't believe him, but I kept going. I started showering again, eating regularly, going over the case files with Dave, looking for anything that could help. In April, we got our first real break. Dave hired a digital forensics expert named Kevin to analyze the texts. Kevin was expensive, $3.75 an hour, but he was worth every penny. After weeks of examination, he found inconsistencies in the metadata, timestamps that didn't line up, formatting differences that suggested the messages had been manipulated. It's not definitive proof of tampering, Dave cautioned, but it's enough to create reasonable doubt about the authenticity of the evidence. We filed a motion to have the text evidence reconsidered. The judge grudgingly granted it. The prosecution argued the inconsistencies were just technical glitches, not proof of forgery. They brought in a county IT expert who testified that text metadata can sometimes appear irregular due to server syncing issues or app updates, but it was a crack in their case, a small one, but a crack nonetheless. At the same time, a girl named Olivia reached out to me through Tyler. She had gone to high school with Ami, was friends with her briefly. Ami did something similar to my brother, she told me when we met at a coffee shop near campus. They worked at the same grocery store. She had a crush on him. He wasn't interested. She told everyone he'd groped her in the break room. He got fired. He was lucky there were security cameras. Did she press charges? No, she just spread rumors, but it's the same pattern. She obsessed over him. He rejected her. She got revenge. Olivia agreed to testify about Ami's history of false accusations. It wasn't much, but it was something. In May, 2 months before the trial, Megan called with news. Ami's story is changing, she said. I overheard her talking to my aunt. Some of the details are different now. The timeline. What exactly happened? I think she's worried about getting caught in inconsistencies. Dave filed another discovery motion, requesting new depositions from Ami. The prosecution objected, but the judge ordered them to provide the updated testimony. Sure enough, Ami's story had changed. She now claimed I'd been grooming her for over a year, not just months. She said the assault happened in the kitchen and continued into the living room. She said I threatened her several times after that night, which is why she waited until the next day to tell anyone. This is good for us, Dave said. Witnesses who change their stories are less credible. But we still didn't have a smoking gun, no definitive proof she was lying. The summer crawled by. My ankle monitor chafed in the heat. My parents' house felt more like a prison every day. The trial was set for July 17th, and as it approached, my anxiety skyrocketed. Dave was more optimistic than he had been in months. The text evidence is questionable now. Her story is inconsistent. We have character witnesses for you and testimony about her past behavior. It's not a slam dunk, but we have a fighting chance. A week before the trial, I got an unexpected visitor. Steve, Caddy's dad, showed up at my parents' house. My dad opened the door and almost slammed it in his face, but Esteve pleaded for 5 minutes. They brought him out to the backyard where I was sitting. He looked terrible. He didn't sit down. I need to ask you something, he said, his voice rough. Man to man. Did you touch my daughter? I looked him straight in the eye. No, sir. I never touched Ami inappropriately. I never sent those texts. I never did any of the things she's accusing me of. He studied me for a long moment. There are things that don't add up in her story. Things she said happened when they couldn't have. My heart pounded. Like what? He shook his head. I can't discuss the details, but I needed to hear it from you directly. He left without another word. I told Dave about the visit immediately. This could be significant, he said. If her own father has doubts, a jury might too. The day before the trial, the prosecutor called Dave with a new plea offer, 18 months, chance of parole after 9, in a minimum security facility. They're nervous, Dave said. They know their case has weaknesses. I turned it down. After coming this far, I was going to see it through to the end. I would either be exonerated or go down fighting. The night before the trial, I couldn't sleep. I sat on my parents' back porch until dawn, watching the stars fade and thinking about what my life should have been. I should have been starting my senior year of college, planning a future with Caddy, working towards goals and dreams, not fighting to stay out of prison for something I didn't do. When the sun came up, I showered, put on the suit Dave brought me, and got ready to face whatever came next. The courtroom was packed. The local media had picked up the story. Small-town college student accused of assaulting girlfriend's sister. People love that kind of drama when it's not happening to them. I saw Caddy for the first time in 9 months. She was sitting with her mother in the gallery behind the prosecutor. She wouldn't look at me. She'd lost weight, her cheekbones more prominent than I remembered. She kept twisting a handkerchief in her hands. Ami was there too, dressed conservatively, hair pulled back, looking young and vulnerable, the perfect victim. My stomach churned. She didn't look like someone carrying the weight of a massive lie. The trial began with opening arguments. The prosecutor painted me as a predator who used my relationship with Caddy to get access to Ami, groomed her over time, and then assaulted her when she finally rejected me. Dave countered with the story of a jealous younger sister who fabricated evidence and accusations after being rejected herself. The prosecution presented its evidence: first the texts, photos of Ami's bruises, medical reports confirming the injuries were consistent with her story. Ami's tearful testimony, which she had clearly rehearsed, stumbled a few times when pressed on the inconsistencies but recovered quickly, saying she was traumatized and confused about some details. During cross-examination, Dave zeroed in on the changing timeline. In your initial statement to the police, you said the assault occurred at approximately 9:30 p.m. Is that correct? Yes, about that. But in your revised statement from May, you said it began at 9:45 and continued until after 10. Which is it? I told you, I was traumatized. I wasn't looking at a clock during the assault. And in your first statement, you said the incident occurred only in the kitchen, but you later added the living room. Why the change? I was trying to block parts of it out. But in therapy, I've been working on facing the whole truth. She had an answer for everything. Our turn came on the third day. Dave methodically dismantled the prosecution's case. He presented the digital forensics report, highlighting the metadata inconsistencies in the texts. He called Olivia, who testified about Ami's previous false accusation against her brother. He called Tyler and other character witnesses who spoke about my relationship with Caddy, my general behavior with women, my character. Olivia's brother, Hassan, flew in from Arizona to testify. He described in detail how Ami pursued him, how he rejected her, and how she retaliated with false accusations that cost him his job. If there hadn't been security cameras in that break room, I don't know what would have happened to me, he said. On the fourth day, during a short recess, Dave got a call. His face changed as he listened. We need to get back in the courtroom immediately, he said, already gathering his papers. When court resumed, Dave requested permission to introduce new evidence. The judge asked what it was. Security camera footage, Dave said, from the Clark residence on the night in question. The prosecutor immediately objected. This is the first we're hearing of any security footage. This is clearly an attempt to ambush the prosecution. Your Honor, we only just received this evidence ourselves, Dave replied. Mr. Clark installed a Nest camera in his garage last year due to a string of break-ins in the neighborhood. The camera has a view of the kitchen door. Mr. Clark only recently realized it would have captured the defendant leaving that night. The judge allowed it, despite the prosecutor's continued objections. Esteve was called to the stand to authenticate the footage. He wouldn't look at me. Mr. Clark, why are you coming forward with this evidence now? The judge asked. Steve cleared his throat. I didn't think about the camera initially. It uploads to cloud storage that I rarely check. But certain inconsistencies in my younger daughter's story made me go back and look. The footage was played for the court. It clearly showed me leaving through the kitchen door at 9:37 p.m. Ami followed me to the door, visibly angry, but completely unharmed, no bruises on her wrists, no tears, no signs of distress. The timestamp matched exactly when she claimed I had been assaulting her. The courtroom erupted. The judge called for order. Ami broke down in sobs. The prosecutor asked for a recess to consult with his witness. The judge denied it and instructed him to continue his cross-examination of Steve. Mr. Clark, is it possible this footage was altered? No, Steve said firmly. It uploads directly to Nest's cloud servers. I accessed it with my account, downloaded it, and provided it to the defense exactly as it was recorded. The prosecutor tried a few other angles, but the damage was done. The video completely contradicted Ami's testimony about what happened that night. When court resumed the next day, the prosecutor announced they were dropping all charges. Just like that, it was over. The dismissal of the charges didn't undo 9 months of hell. It didn't erase the damage to my reputation, my education, my career, my relationships. It didn't give me back the life I should have had. Ami eventually faced consequences. She was charged with filing a false police report, evidence tampering, and perjury. Being over 18 and with her father's testimony against her, she received a suspended sentence, probation, mandatory counseling, and community service, nowhere near the punishment she deserved for what she put me through. The restitution the court ordered her to pay me, $7,500, was a joke compared to what this cost me financially, not to mention emotionally and psychologically. Esteve and Diane divorced shortly after the trial. He couldn't forgive her for pressuring him to support Ami's lies even after he started having doubts. Steve reached out to me once, a month after the trial, to apologize. He said he should have questioned things sooner, should have checked the camera footage earlier. I appreciated the gesture, but it was too little, too late. Caddy tried to contact me repeatedly after the charges were dropped, texts, calls, emails, messages through mutual friends. She said she was sorry for not believing me, for not giving me a chance to explain, that she missed me, that she wanted to try again. I blocked her number, her email, all her social media. 5 years together, and she believed the worst of me without a moment's hesitation. Some betrayals, there's no coming back from. My parents wanted to reconcile, too. They said they were sorry for doubting me, but I couldn't forget the looks on their faces during those months, the constant questions, the implied suspicion. I keep them at arm's length now. I call on holidays, visit occasionally, but there's a distance that wasn't there before. The university wouldn't readmit me. They said the expulsion stood regardless of the criminal case's outcome. I filed a lawsuit against them for wrongful expulsion and discrimination. It's still in process, 3 years later. My lawyer thinks we'll eventually settle for around $200,000, which sounds like a lot, but it doesn't come close to covering what I lost, not just tuition and scholarships, but future earnings, career advancement, networking opportunities. Rebuilding my life was the hardest thing I've ever done. I moved 2 states away. I started over at a different university, though I had to take out massive student loans since my scholarships were gone. I worked night shifts at a warehouse to pay the rent on a studio apartment, barely big enough for a bed and a desk. $14.50 an hour, no benefits, loading boxes from 11 p.m. to 7 a.m., then trying to stay awake through classes. Tyler moved out with me a year later. He got a job at the same warehouse while he finished his degree online. Having someone who knew me from before, who stood by me through everything, helped more than I can say. Megan stays in touch. She was ostracized by her family for supporting me, but she doesn't regret it. I always knew Ami was trouble, she says, I just didn't know how much. She finished her degree and moved to Seattle last year. We talk weekly. It's been 3 years since the charges were dropped, almost 4 since that night in the kitchen. I finally got my degree last spring. I found a decent job in software development. It's not the career track I planned, but it pays the bills. $68,000 a year, decent health insurance, a retirement plan with a company match. I'm slowly building a new life, one that isn't defined by what happened. Some days are harder than others. Some days I wake up angry about everything that was taken from me. Other days, I'm just grateful I was exonerated, that I avoided a much worse fate that could have been mine if that camera footage didn't exist. If he hadn't installed that camera or if he hadn't checked the footage, I'd probably be in a cell right now. My entire future hinged on a piece of technology that could have easily not been there. The financial fallout continues. I have $86,000 in student loan debt. My credit was destroyed during those 9 months when I couldn't make payments on anything. My parents used most of their retirement savings on legal fees. Dave's final bill was $73,500. He was worth every penny, but it will take years for my family to recover. Dating is complicated. I'm always paranoid about how much to share and when. Tell a girl too soon about what happened, and she might see me as damaged or wonder if there was some truth to it. Wait too long, and it feels like I'm hiding something important. I've had a few short relationships, but nothing serious. Trust doesn't come easy now. Olivia and I stay in touch, too. Her brother went through something similar to me, though on a smaller scale. We meet up sometimes to talk about it. There's comfort in knowing someone else understands. I check public records occasionally to see what she's up to. Ami finished her degree. She moved to Portland, got a job in marketing, posts happy pictures on Instagram like she never tried to destroy someone's life. Her probation ended last year. I sometimes wonder if she feels any guilt, or if in her mind, she was the wronged party somehow. The lawsuit against the university is still ongoing. My lawyer says they're dragging their feet, hoping I'll get tired and settle for less. It's frustrating, but I'm not giving up. It's not just about the money anymore, it's about making them acknowledge what they did. But the best thing that's happened was about 6 months ago, I adopted a dog from a shelter, a 3-year-old German Shepherd mix named Riley. His previous owner couldn't keep him because of a military deployment. He has trust issues, too, so we're a good match. We've been inseparable. He guards the apartment, goes hiking with me on weekends. Best roommate I've had since Tyler. If there's a lesson in all of this, I guess it's that you never really know people. The ones you expect to stand by you might be the first to believe the worst. And sometimes help comes from unexpected places, like your girlfriend's cousin you barely talk to at family gatherings, or the security camera her dad installed and forgot about. I don't know if I'll ever be completely over what happened, but I'm doing my best not to let it define the rest of my life. I have a decent apartment now, a job I don't hate, a loyal dog, and a small circle of friends I trust. It's not the life I planned, but it's mine. Thanks for watching. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do so and hit the notification bell to stay updated with more shocking real-life stories happening all around you.